What's up, agents? Jetforth here, and here is finally the full build video for my greatest achievement. At least that's what I believe anyways. Now, I have been striving for the longest time to make the perfect hybrid build with really high armor, or really high weapon damage, and 3000 skill power, and I actually finally did it. Now, some of you have definitely already seen this build, either on the 3-hour stream, which is posted. If you want to see gameplay or anything, it's a lot of shenanigans of fun going on in there. There is DZ gameplay and regular heroic gameplay, but me mindful that I was streaming, having some beverages and talking to chat, so be forgiving when it comes to my lousy aim anyways. And one of the other videos I did was help me finish this build, because I was trying to make a perfect PvP build, and one of you guys said to me, if you actually roll the skill power on this, this is the epitome of what a perfect hybrid build would be. And he was like, this is amazing, I'm going to build this right now, or at least try to. I hope he did. So how this ended up working out is that I do have a really high DPS using a police M4 at 21.5k damage, which hits anywhere from, I'd say, 36,000 headshots on red enemies, all the way up to 106,000 damage per bullet on the bottom end of the magazine for measured on elite enemies. So I mean, it's a really crazy build. Plus 400,000 armor, 165,000 health, which is pretty awesome, I personally believe, and then 3000 skill power. Now, the skill power numbers in here, I do not want you to stray away from trying to build this because they are really high. I'm going to do my best to give you all the tips and tricks that I know so you can farm out really high armor rolls, really high skill power rolls, and how I min-maxed this build and inched it up over the past couple of days for all the different pieces of armor that I have modified and whatnot in it. But anyways, enough with all this jibber jabber. Hit the old like button for me if you could, that would be awesome. Subscribe, comment, and all that other junk, and let's just get into the build, shall we? For our specialization, we will be using the technician for the plus 50% skill power, though plus 20% damage to drones, skill proxies, and robotics, which comes in very handy during heroic missions and sometimes useful in PvP. Emergency patch, armor kits also apply to all friendly skill proxies within 10 meters. Then the overclock CPU, which is plus 10% skill damage, or enhanced diagnostics for plus 10% skill healing. So in PvP, I use the enhanced diagnostics, and then in PvE, I use the skill damage because I'll usually have clusters on when I am playing heroic missions. On to weapons. For my primary, I am using a police M4 replica, which I rolled a million of these things to get the best roll that I possibly could, which this still isn't the best roll. Either way, this is 21.5k damage, 850 RPM, and 50 mag, because I have the plus 20 mag attached to it. Talents measured. The top half of the magazine has 20% rate of fire and negative 15% weapon damage. The bottom half of the magazine has a negative 20% rate of fire and 30% total weapon damage. So the top half shreds and the bottom half hits like a freaking truck. Like, seriously, like a truck. And then accurate for the plus 15% accuracy, which this thing is a freaking laser beam, let me tell you. And then in rhythm, while equipped, enemy kills have a 5% chance to refresh. Active skill cooldowns can occur once every 60 seconds. I do actually want to get recharged here for my PvP encounters, but I am stuck with this for now. Or you might want to try rooted here, I don't know. When it comes to the holstered talents for the weapons, I'm trying to complement my skills, well, at least for this one anyways. Then all my weapon attachments are just accuracy and stability. Next up is my secondary weapon, which I am using my Eagle Bearer, mainly for protected fire. While holstered, gain plus 10% bonus armor while firing your current weapon. In all honesty, this is just an okay talent. I mean, it's good, it's decent, it does what it's doing, but I have seriously been kicking around the idea of going with my original skill build lineup, which I normally use, which is in rhythm, rooted, and recharged across all my 3 weapons. So I may actually switch to that instead of using this. I don't know yet. But for now, I'm happy with this because I've never really put my Eagle Bearer in any builds because I know a lot of people don't have it. And then finally, my PX4 Storm Type T sidearm, which I am using for a protected reload. While equipped, this weapon grants plus 10% bonus armor while reloading. So firing with the Eagle Bearer, you have plus 10% armor, and then while you're reloading, you have plus 10% bonus armor. So you generally always have 10% bonus armor. That was the idea anyways. But again, I might change it to the skill stuff so I can complement the skills, because that's really, the skills are flatlined in here. when it comes to those. Alrighty, on to armor. For my mask, which I actually have two, one for PVE and one for PvP. This is my PVE mask. This is our first piece of a True Patriot. Two pieces of True Patriot give you a plus 10% total armor. Fantastic. Three pieces give you the red, white, and blue. When you shoot an enemy and apply a debuff to them, debuffs are applied in order: red, white, blue, cycling every 2 seconds. Red decreases damage dealt by the enemy. White restores armor to friendlies that shoot this enemy. Blue boosts skill haste in friendlies that shoot this enemy, which I could be wrong, but it does seem like you are also getting the skill haste too when you shoot your own blue enemies. Maybe I should have paid closer attention to this, but it did seem kind of like that. I don't know, you guys tell me. As for my attributes on this fine piece, I have plus 51% damage to elites and 19,118 health. And then offensive mod is assault rifle damage and overall weapon damage. All of my mods from here on out are all stacking assault rifle damage, weapon damage, and armor percentage, like all of them, so that way we can just skip it and speed up the video, if you will. Now, for my wonderful PvP mask, I have a plus 52% hazard protection and plus 16,105 health, but overall this mask ups my armor by about 2,000 and dips my health about 3,000, so I guess it just kind of evens out in the end personally, so it works. I'm happy with it. Again, I just slap that other mod onto here when I go into PvP. On to my wonderful chest piece, which is a Streetdevised combat vest, Fenris Group AB, for the plus 10% assault rifle damage. Attributes 28,815 health. Skill power 1,019, which we will talk about that very shortly here. And then plus 22,156 armor. Talents: Berserk, plus 8% weapon damage for every 20% of max armor depleted, requires a 7 or more, requires a shotgun, SMG, LMG, or assault rifle drawn. Now I am very well aware that people do like to have a lower armor and higher health. I mean, run it the way that you want to run it. For me, I prefer to have more armor. That armor is going to get shredded off regardless. I would personally have it take longer, if you will, than having to rely on health, because man, once your health gets to getting, it goes down a lot faster than armor does. So run it however you want it. If you want to spec more into health, you be you. You do you, my friend, but I prefer having higher armor. And then vital, plus 25% to health. I am also very, very well aware of the second you say use Berserk in PvP, you can't even say the V in PvP before someone says, use Berserk, you fat motherfucker. If I could get a perfectly rolled chest piece like this, or a chest piece rolled like this with bloodsucker on it, I would use it when I go into PvP. I do have a very nice armadillo vest with bloodsucker on it and a lot of armor, but I haven't quite figured out how I want to roll it and how to work it into the build. So maybe I'll post a picture of it on Discord or in the community tab, or maybe I'll just do another build video for it. I don't know. That remains to be seen. But I just want you to know that I know that that is what I know the meta is, which there has been some talking from the developers about clutch and the armor and bloodsuckers. So yeah, need I say more? There's some changes on the horizons, my friends. On to the holster, which is our second piece of True Patriot. Yada yada does some stuff. Attributes: plus 800 skill power and plus 33,192 health. Next up, the backpack, which is my trusty Gila inventory systems for the plus 5% total armor. I am also running Gila knee pads for plus 20% hazard protection. Attributes: 13.5% total armor, 25,560 armor modified, and 17,967 health. Talents: Hardened, plus 15% armor and efficient. Using an armor kit has a 50% chance not to consume this armor kit. Requires no other active talents affecting armor kits. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I said inventory system because this gives you 1 red and 1 blue. You can also roll this backpack as well. In my final note on this, trying to get a backpack that rolls like like this with spark on it has been the vein of my existence. My unicorn, my great white buffalo. I just cannot spot it out into the wild, my friends. And now for my final piece of True Patriot, which does stuff and things. Attributes, 13% assault rifle damage and 6,159 health. Now we are going to talk about our skill power here very shortly, but if you are having a hard time trying to make up for the amount of skill power that I'm able to stack with 2 yellow, 2 utility, you can sacrifice 6,000 health for some skill power here. It's not gonna make or break. I mean, it's 6,000. It's not that huge. And that is all I have to say about that. And finally, the Sidewinder Gila knee pads for a plus 5% total armor, again coming from the backpack, and the plus 20% hazard protection coming from these. So overall, between my PvP mask and these knee pads, I'm getting 72% hazard protection for PvP, which is fantastic, or 20% for LZ when I'm using my DTE mask. Trying my best not to complicate this. Attributes, plus a 12.5% total armor. Talents, empowered, plus 20% skill power. Now between empowered and the technicians, plus 50% skill power, that is giving us plus a 70% skill power. That's how I'm getting away with having only 2 utility and making 3,000 skill power. And that is pretty much it for the build, you guys. Now let's talk about skills, the skill powers, how to get all these crazy rolls that I have on here, and then we can just end this video, because I don't know if you could tell that I don't know the overall depression of Christmas and my day and my just probably pretty monotone video, so my bad, sorry. Alrighty, so when it comes to the skills, you need 1,765 skill power between the technician and empowered on the knee pads to hit that 3,000 skill power cap. Now, you may not actually need to hit that. Just look at what the top mod is in your skills of what you want to use. Like I think my top mod is at 2,957 on one of my Seekers. I may have one a little bit more than that, but I think that's my top. So that's really all I needed to hit. Now, when you look at it, you'd probably be like, well, that's only about 120 difference. I don't know math. I'm not very good at it. But also with that 170, that's probably more like 200 that I have on top of it just because of that 70%. So the best way to get those really god rolls on armor or skill power and whatnot, because even that holster 800 skill power, I just recently got that. You want to farm Elraldi, or you want to farm Alp Summit, because those only drop with 2 attributes on them. So meaning the overall threshold of what the stuff for armor and everything drops at, the amount that is allowed to go in there, is split between 2 attributes instead of 3 attributes. Some of you may know this, some of you may not. Now, I did get some of these rolls in challenge missions, but you are better off running heroics, because it's a guaranteed 500 drop, and the risk versus reward is actually kind of working now for heroics, because you do get more drops during heroics. Now, when I say 500, I know gear score really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Let's be real about it. But it kind of does, because on a 500 piece, the threshold of how high it can actually drop is higher than, say, a 495, a 497. If you are able to get that threshold to hit is, you know, a whole nother question, but it can drop higher than a lower piece. So it is worth it to farm heroics to try and get these. But again, yeah, farm Alraldi and Alp Summit. Like, you are going to get a lot of really high rolls from that. I honestly ended up getting a lot more than I thought I was going to, and I was able to creep my build over the 400,000 mark. Because before I was sitting at about 395 and 399, depending on which mask I was using. And man, I just could not creep over it. And then after farming those for a couple days, it happened. And literally, it was like 2 days. Maybe 1 day of farming and challenge missions, and then the next day it was on heroic, and then I was able to push everything up to where it is now. So just farm, and trust me, you will be able to get there, because I did get some chest piece rolls. I know my 1019 is pretty ridiculous, but I did get some around the 980 mark, and 980 and an 800 is going to push you over to that 3000 mark. So you can do it. And that's the best advice that I can give you. Now, I really do hope you guys try this build. And again, like I said, I would like to get Bloodsucker on here. I really wish I can get a Spark backpack like that, so when I do my Bloodsucker, or even maybe for this, I'll try and refinagle it a little bit so I can get that 9 red in there to get Spark working and get that much extra damage. But I don't know. I'm pretty proud of this build. I do believe that this is about as hybrid as you're going to get, because our skills are flatlined to the point where, you know, we don't need to do extra damage with bleed or explosive damage and proccing, anything like that. So Our skills are just flatline. You can use any skill you want. I'm gonna sneeze. My favorite so far for PVE has been the healer hive, because you can just throw that thing down and tank for days, and my seeker mines, because, you know, seekers, they destroy everything. And then during PvP, it's healer hive and a drone. And what we learned, if you watch the end of that stream when I was in PvP, is that you get 3 drones on one dude. Oh my goodness gracious, does that melt that guy down. I mean, the clusters hit really hard in there too. And another little fun tidbit that we learned is that if you take the Antifister, Asphister hive and put it right next to my healer hive with really high heal mods on it, it almost heals better in PvP than it would regularly in PvE. It was kind of unfair in all honesty, so I would suggest trying that. And then also the Asphister with the chem launcher too. It'll heal you almost all the way up. I didn't try that in PvP. I would imagine it works pretty well, but in PvE it'll heal you almost all the way up. It's pretty godly, so I would definitely mess around with that. But yeah, you can use any skill you want. You can throw a shield on here, be a super tank, drones, you name it, you can put it on here, because it's just flatline 3000 skill power. It's all up to your mods and everything you do. So I really like this build. The only thing I want to mess around with it, like I said, is trying to get Bloodsucker on it somehow, and then maybe messing around with the weapons with rooted and recharged, like my, you know, usual steady lineup that I put in most of my skill builds, just to complement skills, since everything else is just DPS and armor really. So I don't know. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I would definitely recommend giving it a shot. I mean, I'm a pretty big fan. And yeah, I'm just gonna shut up. Let me know what you guys think. That's it. I'm done. I'm done. But definitely, if you guys could, please hit the like button. It always makes me happy, makes the videos do better, blah. I'm sure you guys all know that whole spiel. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and all that other junk, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Peace!